over the priesthood and they teach them the wrong conjure that puts them in what we call the Amen, the unknown state.
Okay.
The God self cannot show until you give it permission. You go from Amen to I-10. The symbol for I-10 is the sun at high noon.
Mm-hmm.
The symbol for our moon is the sun below the horizon.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So this is the dung ball, the pile of shit in the earth.
Oh,
It has to be dug up by the scarab.
Okay. Okay.
And rolled across the earth. In other words, the scarab represents the feminine Kephra that expels the excrement in order for him to rise and become I-10. It's a blueprint, it's a star map, and it's a fairy tale, all rolled into one.
Wow.
We call it the holy drama.
The what?
The holy drama. The Abrahamic religions is the counter religions out of Babylon. To usurp the priestesses and usurp the sacerdotal seat of the sacred feminine.
Yes. Yes.
And so the origin goes back to 18th dynasty Egyptian priest wars.
Definitely. There's actually, I have an associate, well, he's an acquaintance of mine. His name is Ed Dodge. He has actually done research and everything you're saying, you just are downloading it from. Let me ask you, where are you downloading this from? Are you downloading it from where? Where is this information coming into your, let's say, your consciousness, and then you're giving it to us? How does that work?
So I have a lot of past life memories.
Okay, I knew it. It's Akashic Records, right?
And so I can go to my past life memories. The hard part is I have to find something in this life that can give you as a reference from my past life memory in order for you to be able to see that I know what I'm talking about from my past life memory. So when I give people the book references, and I don't need the book references. The book references are for the people that don't know that this is my memory of past lives telling you that we eternal beings, we don't never die. Life is eternal.
Wow.
And death is just the final stage of life before transition into a new stage of life.
That's absolutely correct. And this is my passion, what you're talking about. Okay, so once, I'm just going to share a really quick story. I promise I won't take over because everybody's like, we want to hear it. I do too. But I was listening to a song because when you said something, well, I don't know if you said it like this, but something made me remember a life that I had when I was actually married to someone. He had my baby in his arms, but people were chasing me, setting me on fire in my dream because they were saying I was I guess I put it together. Maybe they thought I was a witch. The way it triggered me is as a song, but the song, every single lyric was a reminder. It reminded me of that life. I'm going to hand it over to you. That's not the only time that happened to me, though.
But what's the name of the song?
Okay, I'm going to tell you. It's Florence and the Machine, Only If for a Night. And it's like when I heard the song, I cried for, I'd say, on and off for months. Even now, I listen to that song and I know it's about my life. And the thing I remember was my husband was holding the baby. He didn't even really care. I kind of put it together that maybe he told them, and they were chasing me, setting me on fire in the dream. So what I'm getting at is it triggered that one more life, past life that I remembered was I was on, I guess it's the ziggurat, and I had touched this other girl on the shoulder, like to make her calm down. I don't know if we were being lined up to be sacrificed, So I know I had two of the memories were horrible. But the reason I'm saying that is that also was triggered not by a song, but by something I saw in a movie that had nothing. It was a children's animation movie. I don't really want to bring that one up too much. Why is that happening, or does that happen to you?
I'm gonna give you one that happened to me. We went to New Orleans when I was, or not to New Orleans, to Mississippi for my great grandmother's funeral when I was a little boy. And when I got down there, I had seen so much familiar stuff. And so one day I found myself sitting on the porch by myself. I'm like 7 years old, 6 years old. And I'm trying to figure out why we don't go to Granny house in this life to get the chicken and cornbread from the bowl she keep on the countertop. Because I did it in so many consecutive lifetimes. And I can't understand why we don't live in the house up the road from Big Mama house no more. Because I had done it in so many consecutive lifetimes. So I'm remembering me playing at Big Mama house. I remember being stuck behind the wraparound fences in the South. But I can't figure out for the life of me why we ain't where I'm supposed to be. And it's pissing me off. I'm a shorty. And I want to go back to Big Mama house, but my Big Mama now is in Chicago.
Oh, wow.
Right? Yeah. So now I can't tell my mama to take me to Chicago every weekend. But when Big Mama was up the street, I could just walk down to Big Mama house. In this life, I can't just walk to Big Mama house. This telling me this is my first conscious awareness that there's a severely something wrong in our community. I'm not the one that's not supposed to be able to walk up the road to Big Mama house. Something's wrong. Yeah. Big Mama not at home. She not in New Orleans where we got to come down on the raft and get off and walk up on this little island to her front door, and I can't understand why.
Wrong lifetime, right?
Wrong lifetime. This is not matching what I'm supposed to be seeing. That means something is wrong, and I got to help fix it.
Wow.
That's when I was a shorty.
How old were you around, you said?
Maybe 6 or 7.
Wow. This is, you know what? See, this part is so phenomenal. And every single thing you're saying, I absolutely relate. Because it's hard for people who haven't experienced it because they can't get to that level where, you know what they do, sadly, Chief? They say they'll have the experience and they say, oh,
and that's just your imagination.
Yes, that's what I was going to say. Exactly. I see you back there.
Okay, break the word imagination down.
Go ahead.
Right?
Image.
Yeah. Am I? So the image is the root word to imagination. It's something that you see. It's the image activation in the mind of a previous time. But ain't nothing new under the sun. You connected to all of your relatives that preceded you by direct descent.
And it's still that thought, ain't it?
That's still that thought. The thought is the cause of it all. And if it came from the first spark, you can trace it back only by understanding who you are. Because you are the expression that comes down in a direct line of descent. And all of this is in your mind and in your capability, but the system we were raised in tell us that that's evil to ponder those things because the idle mind is a devil's workshop.
And they call it philosophy, don't they?
Yeah.
Come on in.
That good old monotheistic religious philosophy.
Talk your talk, Rod. Come on.
But it's all designed to usurp a woman. The Jesus story is the story of ISIS. Jesus is ISIS in Greek, but they tell you that it was Hebrew, but before it was Hebrew, it was Greek.
Mm-mm.
Yahshua mean our Savior, and our Savior has always been our mothers. Since we don't want to give your mama credit, we gonna give credit to some old stringy haired hippie and make you follow the stringy haired hippie, and that's gonna give us control over your expression. And we gonna, as long as you put that fiat in the basket, we know that we got you.
Wow. You
Don't,
know, go ahead. No, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
I'll say, don't let me lock this door till I get $10,000.
Oh, that's what that I think I saw that. Are you talking about that thing that's going around social media when he said lock the door?
I say it was live. He did that on live social media.
That's scary.
Yeah, you know that's kidnapping.
Yes, it's kidnapping, of course.
Unlawful restraint.
They probably said
They say they charged him. I don't know if they charged him for real, but they say they charged him with 4,100 counts of kidnapping.
Oh my gosh, that's
harboring or something.
This is so
type stuff. But we gotta have a lot of industry leaders on next. They won't be on here, but Zoom. So I want you to come and be at my launch next Saturday at 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central, and 5 p.m. Pacific, and actually just take down that passcode. I would love to see us pack the place out. So I'm probably gonna give away some free gifts or something. So that is probably what I'm going to do with that. For Friday, we actually I don't have a flyer for it, but we will have our Living in Private class at House of Reawakening Minds. So if you've been wanting to come for our 4 Fridays, we are having it again this 4 Friday coming up. So come out. People come from all over the country for that, Chief. I was telling them I get people to come from Florida and California and everything, and people live next door across the street won't come over to the House of Reawakening Minds. People come from around the country, but they won't come around the corner.
Well, you know what they say in the Bible: prophet is not without honor except in his own home among his own kindred.
Absolutely.
So the ones closer to you is least likely to see your light.
Yeah. Leto Turner, if you don't like the way I host, you know what? I've been doing this for a while, and you ain't got to be here on my channel. How about that? How dare you talk about I'm not a good host, and I've been doing this for 4 or 5 years. I've never seen you on here. Whoever you are, and I'm saying that with a smile. I just let my folks get you. Like they can get you. Thank you for whoever said that. China Lynn, your friend. Don't talk about I don't know how to ask good questions. I talk conversationally. I when I'm friends with my guests. Yeah,
If you had to explain yourself to somebody that came to your channel to watch your content, you're doing too much.
I know, but I'm not. I'm just saying. I'm just saying because it just jumped up. I'm like, how dare they? No, I'm not offended because they stupid.
Look, if you don't have no hecklers, that means you ain't doing something right. As long as you're doing something right, it's gonna be somebody trying to tell you. Remember, I told you.
Well, all she got to do is
wherever peaceful people congregate. Look, wherever people congregate, peaceful people congregate. The shit started coming in. Can't stand to see two peaceful people having a peaceful conversation. They want some drama. They want some gossip, some juicy. Let's talk about Puffy. Let's talk about Will Smith. I don't care about them people. Let them people live their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, you won't dim my shines, honey, whoever you are. I mean, you definitely don't. I think you're new because this is my style. This is who I am. And, it is who I is. But I want to thank you. I want to thank you, Chief, as always, for coming on. I want to put this back up again, make sure that they know.
Thanks for inviting me over here to your space to come spend this time.
It's always a privilege and an honor to have you here, you know, because we always learn something new. I do, you know, like I said. So, like I said, today when you told me that he'd been in prison for Larry Hoover been in prison for 52 years, I was dumbfounded. I was like, really?
Listen, here go the kicker. His co-defendant been out since the 90s, right? But Larry never killed anybody in his life. But the state case is a murder case. But they know he never killed anybody.
Mm. But they just, yeah.
COINTELPRO. If we don't understand that COINTELPRO was they changed the name to Readiness Exercise 1984, and it was exposed during the Iran-Contra trial. I'm just saying.
So I mean, why did he get 100 years? Or I guess they didn't expect him to live this long in that situation, you know.
Well, you know, he had been stabbed several times in prison. He got stabbed in the county jail, and then he got stabbed in prison.
I didn't know that. I didn't know that. So they tried to take him out even in there.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, he's there for a reason. He's survived for a purpose. And somebody said 2,000 years. They gave him 2,000 years.
200.
200 years. About
they're sitting 200 years in the state. You know, in Illinois, they got anybody that have any kind of influence, and they catch them on what they call like class A. I think it's called a class A felony, murder, armed robbery, or like that. They try to give them like basketball numbers, 150 to 200, just so they know that if they don't get no relief on the appeal, they won't never get out. So give them life, you go up for parole in 20 years. You still come up parole. Like his last parole hearing that he went to, they denied him because he was under federal indictment. Okay. So it's a whole lot of guys that they didn't want to let out. This out now. Right. You know.
Well, I hope his family listens to what your advice, which could you say it again so that just in case somebody's watching this in the family, they know the best way to go about?
I wouldn't go to the governor for clemency. I would have the lawyers file a special parole interview based on the sentence commutation from the president. And I would use his commutation as a letter of recommendation from the highest office in the land.
And the reason the governor is because he and Trump are at war.
Right. So we don't want them to use Larry for a political ping pong ball. Because that's what it ended up happening. He don't like Trump, so he won't get Larry no air. Larry ain't got nothing to do with Trump.
Right.
Other than Trump giving him some relief from that trumped up federal garbage. Mm-hmm. Look at this. George Bush, Ronald Reagan, Oliver North, and I think the guy name was Poindexter was all indicted in the for the Iran-Contra. Ronald Reagan and George Bush walked clean. Oliver North I think he got a 1-year probation and a 1-day suspended sentence in jail. Now, they wasn't bringing over a key. They was bringing over tonnage. Let that sink in. And this man ain't did nothing but told all of us. He the reason why I was in there reading all them damn books. I didn't know what the hell they got me in the library reading all them damn books for. Somebody had to do it. He said, we need somebody to hit the library hard, read everything in there. I'm reading cookbook recipes, reading books in the library. Just so I can make sure I don't miss nothing. Reading law books, history books, obscure history, revisionist history, mathematics, science. Reading all this stuff. I'm like, when I get to the point, I'm like, why am I reading this? And then some messenger come along and say, you don't need the paper to get your PhD, you need the knowledge. But the only thing he ever told us is the children that's trying to do right, protect them. We don't need no more gangsters. That's Larry. We don't need no more gangsters. We need doctors, lawyers, scientists, mathematicians. This is what he's been telling us since 74. Since he he didn't even want the position. He was forced under the threat of death to take the position. That in of itself should be enough to give him some reprieve. And Don Dirk tell the story on he was either on Vlad. He was on one of them podcasts and he told the story he was there. And they was like, Larry, these dudes say you their leader, whether you want to be or not. You can't shirk tribal responsibility.
No.
You bring the whole tribe down on your head. But when they got you thinking that it's something other than tribal, then the government can manipulate the story. Remember Malcolm said the media will have you thinking that your worst enemy, your best friend is your worst enemy. Media manipulation is all it is.
Well, I'm glad you listened. I'm glad you listened and studied and read and absorbed all that you did and continue to do that. It's become a way of life for you.
I tell you, if I'd known how to be doing all this social media, I wouldn't have did it.
I know people.
I hate social media.
Some folks in the chat have said they want to get in touch with you, but I know the only way they can get in touch with you is via social media. You have a YouTube page. They can DM you in YouTube, but there's no email that you give out or any website. So you'd have to go to. And do you have an Instagram or TikTok?
Yeah, the Instagram is a SikApe. I haven't did anything on TikTok yet, but I'm thinking about moving over there because I've been shadow banned on Instagram for over a year.
Oh, really?
They had me banned on Facebook for 2 years before they let me do a live.
Wow.
So when they blocked me out of Facebook, I went over to Instagram to do my lives.
Mm-hmm. So now
then they blocked me out. Yeah. Then they blocked me out of Instagram and they forced me back to Facebook.
Well,
so I'm thinking about picking up TikTok because that's a whole nother niche.
Yeah, it is. And you got these little. I see you on TikTok sometimes, but people take, I guess, a little excerpt from your Instagram and then they put it on TikTok because that's some of those reactionary videos, and it'll be, oh, that's right. I've seen you on there, but I know it's always with somebody else making the printing. Publishing.